done here. Okay, well, I'm back with another live stream, and you might see it over here in the background. I got me a new tool toy today. It's a tool for mixing audio, and it's a toy too because it's fun kind of things to me. I've always enjoyed mixing sound. I've said this in most of my videos, I think, but I mix sound for. Go ahead and switch over. You can see a little closer. Well, you can still see me too. I mix sound for bands for. Well, I actually started learning in about 1983, and I did a lot of what they call karaoke nowadays. We used to call it singing with backup tracks, but and then starting around 90 or so, I started doing sound for live bands. Well, I did shows a lot, like plays and stuff too, around that time. But then from then on, I mostly did live bands, Christian rock bands, and pretty much all Christian rock bands, punk, rock, metal, hardcore, and that's what kind of music I always liked too. So I started getting into Christian rock music in about '83, I think, and it progressed over the years. If you're familiar with it now, then you know there's like pretty much any style you can imagine. You know, there's some bands out there doing those styles with Christian themed lyrics, you know. And so anyway, I really enjoyed doing that, and I learned this is a Behringer. Let's see, what is the exact? Here we go. It's a XENYX 802. It is an analog mixer. It doesn't have any built-in effects or anything. If you know anything about, a lot of the Behringers have built-in effects. The only, I think I only ever used one Behringer. I mostly used Mackies, and I really like Mackies, and they cost more. And I only had about $60 to spend, and that's exactly what this cost, $59.99. So it's got a few little features that some of the other little mixers in this price range don't have too. They kind of generally do that, so it's versatile. I was really on the fence about getting it because, you know, they've got good and bad reviews, and so I mean, it's like when you go on, like I was looking on Amazon, I ended up getting it at Musician's Friend because musiciansfriend.com, because I usually like to get stuff on Amazon because you can send it back for free if there's anything wrong with it. But I was going to have to pay $5 tax from Amazon and no tax at Musician's Friend where I live, so I got it there. I think I may have bought my VM2 from Musician's Friend years ago. I think that's probably where I got it. I can't remember. I didn't bother to go look and see, but I'm going to, I haven't hooked it up yet. I still got the wiring all hooked up to this is my Vamp here, is what I've always used for the last, this year. Anyway, I've had it for years, but I never actually hooked it up to the mic and used it. It's a guitar effects unit, really, but it does have some tube preamp effects, and it has noise gate and a compressor that is actually, they tell you how to set it up for using for a mic, you know. So it's worked really well. The only thing I noticed is I had to be really careful. Actually, no matter how careful I am about setting everything up, going into the computer is so hard because it's so easy to distort the signal. And sometimes I still hear, if I get a little close to the mic or something, I'll hear some distortion. The mic's up right there. So, and I don't like that at all, you know, even with the compressor. And of course, it's just an auto compressor. You can't set it yourself or anything, and that would be another thing. But it's good enough, and it's certainly made a huge improvement in the sound of my videos, and especially now I'm not going through any of that. I'm just using this little $9.99 or something like that, under $10 lapel mic plugged into my phone, which is cool because it's a wireless mic. I have 3 of these identical Alcatel A845L phones. 2 of them you can see the pictures on right now, and the other one is my wireless mic. I've got it in a little bag here around my waist, and it sends a signal. I send just the audio on the cam. I named them, label them 1, 2, and 3. So cam 3 sends the audio, and cam 1 and 2 has got these 2 different camera views that I can switch to. And this works okay, but it's not anything like a, you know, a Shure SM58. I actually have a couple of 57s, and I have a lapel mic. I'll get it out later. That I've never got to try because it needed phantom power, and I have another old Shure mic. I inherited these mics from my friend's dad. My friend's dad was an old jazz musician from back in the 30s, 40s. Let's see. He died several years. Well, he died probably 10 years ago now. But I can't remember. Let's see. I can't remember exactly how old he is, but he was. But like if he was playing in the 20s or not, if he was grown up in the 20s, he might have been a kid in the 20s. But anyway, he had a little 4-track analog reel-to-reel cassette recording set up in a spare bedroom, and he had some equipment and had a Gibson Les Paul, not real authentic, real 1950s Gibson Les Paul, which my friend kept, of course. Anyway, I got those mics and stuff from him, and the mics from mic stands and stuff. And actually, I got that 4-track stuff too. But I took it up to I let someone else. I put it in another friend's. He was setting up a recording studio, and I put it in there, and we were going to use it, and then I ended up never getting it back. So never got to use it. So anyway. This Behringer here, I haven't turned it on yet or anything, so I'm hoping that there's not going to be anything wrong with it. You know, I've seen lots of videos where some of them had problems, brand new. I debated a lot about. I almost went ahead and got a used Mackie, but then I thought, well, there's no guarantee at all with those. So if there's anything wrong with them, then you got nothing to do but just send it back and lose money that way. So if you buy it from somebody, you can send it back too. So anyway. I already got my cables out. I went ahead and ran my. Let me go ahead and switch. Let's see. Well, let's see. Yeah, let's just stay on this scene, and I can show that easy. Right here is, and I'll go ahead and unplug it. This is how I've been running the signal in from my mic to the. Let's see. I already rolled it all up except for. Now let's go ahead and get out of that scene and get into one where I can show. Okay, yeah, I think that's good. Okay, so this is an XLR. So it's a regular XLR mic connector on one end, and then other end, it's converted to 1/4-inch unbalanced, and that's what I was able to use to plug into the Vamp. To get my mic signal in there. And it actually has some electronics in there. I think it has a transformer and some other things in there to actually convert it from low impedance to high impedance. Some of them you got to watch out if you want to buy one of those converters. Some of them they don't have the electronics in them, and they don't convert the signal. They just drop one of the wires, and you don't get a good signal that way. You're usually going to have problems. You're going to have distortion and all kinds, no telling what all. I think maybe many years ago I may have actually made one myself before I knew that was necessary. Actually, I think I made at least one back years ago. So let's put that off over there. Now, what I use to connect the Vamp to the computer is going to stay. I'm going to still use the Vamp for my compressor and my effects, my tube amp effects, my compressor and noise gate. And so what I use is different colors, but this is one of the old original cables that I used to use back in the 90s. Got, it was in my kind of kit, my wiring kit that I would carry with me everywhere I went. Even though everything may be already set up, I learned what cables you might need extra or in emergency, and I would carry these with me. That one over there I bought probably 50, yeah. Oh, this is 17. I probably bought it in 98 or something like that. But this I've had since like 90 to probably 92 or something like that. Anyway, these are higher quality than what you would even, you know, than what you would. They stand up to more wear and tear, higher quality cables. But I don't remember what brand these are. But not that they're, you know, anything's going to wear out and break. But anyway, this is called an insert cable. This is what you would use it on a. This actually, you can use insert cables on this board. But well, it doesn't actually have. It has an FX out, but it's mono, so it's really not a true insert. A channel insert. This board doesn't have that, but on regular, you know, like the Mackies especially. Back in those days, I think it was a 1602. Mostly what I used most of the time was a 16-channel Mackie. I think it was just a plain 1602 before the VLZs. And I've used VLZ for a lot too. But as I progressed along, and I used, you know, 24 channels and 32 channel boards and stuff. But and I remember this giant Yamaha console in one church that I mixed in sometimes for a play one time. Anyway, and it's, you know, other stuff. The one very first thing I ever really mixed on was a PV XR800. It was given to us and to me and I was married back then, me and my wife, and she sang. That's who I started out mixing for. I would do the sound and she would sing, and I would play the tapes, you know, the backup tapes that they call karaoke now. I don't know where that term came from. It's so weird and silly. But I always imagine that it came from how most people sound when they're singing. They don't sing well, and they sound like a frog croaking. Croaky. So I don't know if that's where it came from, but that's what I imagine. So anyway, insert cables. What you can do with an insert cable is you can plug it in to a line insert or a main insert, and this board doesn't actually have that, but you can plug it in. And instead of being, and this would go, one of these would be the in and the other one would be the out. And you had to actually remember, it's one where, you know, I think, well actually I don't remember because I haven't done it so long, but the gray and the red or whatever, you know, white and red or whatever you got, you could always know by this is called a TRS tip ring sleeve connector here. And you'd always know, like, when I used to remember it, I knew, you know, the tip is in and the, you know, ring is out, or the other way around, or whatever. So anyway, when you would go to an effects unit, you could run the signal out through this cable and then back in with this cable to your mixing board. And you could do, like, every channel would have an insert, and the mains very often would have an insert. And so say if you had a compressor and you just wanted to compress everything on the board to keep it from overdriving and distorting in your amps, and you could just do a main insert. And so I'm going to do basically that, but I won't be doing. I don't have a main insert, so I'm going to what we'd call daisy chain it together. And the way this stuff is wired up, I'm just going to go ahead and start getting into doing it here. The way this stuff is wired up, let's see. I'll go ahead and show the close-up of the board here. The way this stuff is wired up, ouch. I'll probably have to get this where I can see it. Well, I want to make sure it stays under there. But this is already going to the computer, and I'm not going to have to change that. And I unplug this. Okay, now the B amp here has, let me go ahead and show that if I can. The Vamp input, there's actually two here, yeah, input and phone. So it's got an earphone jack right here, 1/4-inch earphone jack, but the bottom one here is the input. And it'll take either a balanced or unbalanced signal. If it's balanced, then it's what it's considering it as is stereo. So so this insert cable is going to be used like as if it was stereo. Okay, so that's the input. And I'm just going to set that back up there. These are my outputs. And they're still already wired up to the computer, so I don't have to change that. And that's just going, and it is a 1/4 inch on the other end, and I use one of those, you know, your standard 1/4 inch to 3.5 millimeter adapter on that, and it makes it pretty long, and I'm always worried it's going to get broken one day. It's sticking out the back of the computer. As long as I don't get back there and mess around with things, it's fine. But if I do, I get, like, well, the bad thing is we've got a lot of cables back there, and one day I got something hung on it, and I started to yank on it to try to get it loose, and I thought, wait a minute. It's a good thing I didn't yank on it. This is actually rather heavy. I was surprised that it was that heavy, because people kept saying it didn't seem very substantial, as they say. And let's see. No, I gotta be able to read it myself. So now what I want to do, okay, now this is, I want to do I'm going to use my main outputs. Now red is pretty much the standard, red for right, and you know, white or gray for left. So in this case, it's a 2 monos to a stereo adapter. It's really an insert cable. That's what they're called, and that's what they're used for normally. But you can also use them for other things, of course. So I'm using it as a mono, 2 monos to a stereo, mono outputs to stereo input adapter. Now I've already got it laid out here. I already ran the cable over to my microphone here. You can't see it anymore, but you saw it a while ago. My microphone, and so I'm going to put it on channel 1. Let's see. I wonder if it would be better if I laid this down until I get everything hooked up. It might, yeah. There we go. Cable, I've already got a cable's rat's nest here. Haven't even got it all hooked up yet. These, well, the one thing that gives me trouble is that original power cable for that Vamp is as stiff as a board. And it's always giving me trouble. Now you could, on these 2 channels, you could plug, actually, I was thinking, oh yeah, you could either use a TRS mic input, because you can get XLR to TRS mic cables, but this board doesn't really look for that. That's a line level signal there. So if you're going to use a mic on this board, you only want to use the XLR. You could use, see, this is a mono, this is a mono, and it's either a line level or an XLR. A line level is like, that's things like a tape deck, you know, or a guitar, or you know, any kind of musical instrument that's got a unbalanced signal. Or if you plug you can plug I lost my words. Anyway, an unbalanced signal. Okay, and then you can have another mic, and that's the other reason why I went ahead. I wanted at least to have 2 mic channels. So, and it's an 8-channel board, they say. So you got 1 mono here, 2 second channels, 2 mono, and then the 3 and 4 are together. So you've got a left and a right. Now, and that'd be the same thing. It's looking for. Let's see. It may be doing. I believe it's. I can't read none of the letters. I'll just leave it laying down and just use my magnifying glass. I guess if I get up, I'll be better off. Okay. Well, they are balanced or unbalanced. Okay, so, and that's on only on these stereo channels. That was what threw me off, because, wait a minute. It says balanced or unbalanced. Okay, so I'm wrong. Well, I don't know where I got that idea then. I did kind of run through the manual a little bit. I've been watching a bunch of videos on it too. I might have got the wrong idea from watching somebody's video. It says right here, balanced or unbalanced. Now that's good, because if you did have an XLR female to TRS male cable for your mic, and you didn't want to go buy more, and that's all you had, you could use that. You wouldn't want to. Well, I just explained the. I mean, I wouldn't use that other cable that I showed you earlier for this purpose. I would use XLR or XLR to TRS. I wouldn't use XLR to TS on that, or you know, the converter. You don't want to convert it, because that was the problem I had, is I had to gain this V-amp just about completely as far as it would go to get the signal hot enough. I stopped short of explaining that's probably where my distortion was coming from. You don't want to gain your channel any more than you absolutely have to, because when you to get your signal hot enough to work, because that's where you get your distortion. Okay, and now I've already got my my main output. That's what I'm going to use. You have a control room out where you could send it off to some other speakers, or to a it was typical. Control room was typically used to send back into a control room where you were doing recording in a recording studio. Is what it was set up. That was what it was set up for originally. But there's a lot of, you know, you can be creative and do a lot of different things. And then there's a tape in and out, RCA for, they call it 2-track. So it could be a tape. Of course, people don't use tapes much anymore. So it could be a phone, a digital recorder, or a player recorder, you know, whatever. Whatever has RCAs. So, and you've got some assigned buttons. You can 2-track to control room, 2-track to mix. So see, like if you just wanted to play, thing is with the, well, that wouldn't actually matter if you're using a regular cassette deck, that would be a real problem, because you don't have any volume control. So that music would either, you know, it's going to be too loud, too soft, whatever. It's not going to, you'd have to mix your mics to the tape level, which I guess you could do that, but boy, that'd be hard. So, and I think I remember somebody's video complaining about that. So if you were using but if you're using a phone with a volume out on the output, anything with a headphone, basically a headphone type line level signal, with a volume control, then that would be okay. Like if you're going 3.5 millimeter to RCA from your phone or your whatever, then when it has a volume, then you would be all right. But then still you got to watch it, because you can distort really easy too. Because if you get too hot on a line level signal, you're going to distort pretty easily. Not quite as easily as you would with, you know, raising up the gain a lot on the mics. So okay, so then you have the ability, and this is at first I thought I was going to do that. Go FX out, but it's Efx, you know, it stands for Efx out through the V-amp, and then back in to the left and right returns to the aux, and then I could turn it up and down in each channel as I wanted. But the only problem is, when you do that, you also get, they call it the wet and the dry signal. The wet signal is with the effects, the dry signal is the mic channel or instrument channel without the effects. You can't turn on the effects channel and turn off the at least I don't ever remember a board that allow you to do that. If you turn down the level here, then and it doesn't matter where you put the effects, you don't get anything. So you can't you would have the wet and the dry signal, and you would only be able to put more wet or less wet in there. And what happens is, if you're the whole point here for me is to compress my mic channels so that I don't get distortion. And you know, there might be, I'm not planning on, you know, playing music through it right now, but if I did want to do that, then it would have to be running through my V-amp, and which, you know, the gate and the compressor, that wouldn't be so bad. That wouldn't really hurt anything, probably. It might cut, the only problem you might have is it could possibly cut off the softest tones in a music tape or something, but probably wouldn't even run into a problem with that. But so I'm just going to go ahead and leave it daisy chained together. It would be nice to be able to turn your effects up and down on each channel, and you know, as you wish. And it's kind of neat. This the light, kind of like almost like pointing at what I'm, just by accident pointing at what I was shining light on what I'm talking about. But anyway, so I'm going to daisy chain together. I won't get to use any of the fun aux in and return stuff right now, but that's okay. I'm not going to be using the tape in and out right now either. What I may do though is my I've talked about it lots of times. I have a patch bay up there. It's an RCA patch bay where all my computers run through it, and then they run from there down to my amp, and also my TV and, well, computers and TV. And the thing is it doesn't it's not a mixer. It's just a patch bay, and so the signal keeps getting weaker and weaker the more things you add. So I could run the main output of it through here, through a left and right, you know, stereo left and right. And one of my channels I'd probably use, I don't think I would use the 2-track in and out. I think I would use the one of the channels. I know I would, because I want to have the gain. Well, I don't want the gain. I just want a little level control, you know. That'll give it. I believe that I could just run it in, say, like channel 5 and 6, and I always put my tapes on the far right channel, whatever number that is. And then I can make up the lost, or you know, or if it's too much or too little, I can make it up with this, so that I could have. Because what I'm having to do is leave some of my computers, 2 of them, unplugged, and only plug them in when I want to use them, and it's a pain, you know. So this is what I will probably eventually do here, not tonight because I'm tired, but in time here I believe I have a cable I can use. I've got a really long RCA cable that's a heavy duty that I bought for my van actually, and I never ended up putting it in there, to run from the, you know, the radio up in the front to the speakers in the back to the amplifiers. I was going to put them in the back. I never got all that done to it. So, and I've already got a good cable in my Blazer, so I didn't you know, when I bought that I already had that all set up. So anyway, so right now all I'm going to be using is this mic, and I'm going to try out one of these mics that need phantom power. I don't think I got into that. It has phantom power, for negative 48 volts phantom power, and I have a couple of Shure. I have a lapel mic and a Shure mic that of the ones I got. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier, that I inherited from my friend's dad. I have another Shure mic that's a vocal or instrument mic that needs phantom power, and I've never got to hear it and see what it sounds like. I don't know. I suppose they work. All the ones that don't need phantom power work. I have 2 57s and a 58, and so I'm going to plug those in here in a little bit. But let's see. I think usually I like to stand that V-amp up where it can be seen. I just like it being able to be seen. But you know, if you're going to be able to be seen now, today, that's the way to do it. So, so I can show it on my video. There we go. Okay, so let me get these things plugged in. I didn't want to plug them in until everything was plugged up. I think I'll plug in that lapel mic. I have another mic cable too. For when I want to, I have several other mic cables, but I didn't get it out yet. But this lapel mic's the one I was really interested in. I really wished, I debated about buying this board. I didn't really have the money to buy it before, when I ended up, you know, buying this $10 mic. I'm actually glad I got it, because it's really cool to have a wireless mic. Really cool. But this is a high quality lapel mic. It's vintage now, I guess, and I can't remember if it's a Shure. I believe it's a Shure. But anyway, I'm just going to plug it in right there in that channel. It's an unbalanced. It does have a plastic connector on it, which is unusual for pro type gear. But you know, one time before Lee's dad died, he let us get in there in that studio and fiddle around with stuff. And I fiddled around, and I played with this. I put it on, I think I put it, he had a bass fiddle, and I think I put it on that bass fiddle. So, let's put this over here. I'll just put my little sticky notes over here. Okay, so let me see if there's anything on it that says what it is. I don't know, there's not. But it probably has a way better sound than this one I'm using, so I'll find out here in a minute, unless it doesn't work or something. Oh, and the other main thing I'd want to be able to do is, well, I can do that. Okay, that's how I do it. I plug my earphones into the Vamp, and I can hear what my effects sound like and everything. I'm not going to change any of my tube preamp or anything, but I will probably go ahead. I'm going to leave it as is right now. Let me turn it on and I'll show you. I'll have to, and both of these things, you have to just plug them in to turn them on. So, and it is one thing I read that people, more than, quite a few people in their reviews said that within like 6 months, 8 months to a year, these power supplies would go out on these mixers. So I definitely not want to leave them plugged in. Let's just do this. There. One of these is polarized. You can only plug it in one way, and the other one you can plug it in either way. Okay, so my Vamp, I always like to do that, but I only really have A and B set up. A is for my talking, and I'm still not, using it right now. I'm still using the little cheap lapel, and B is for when I want to sing. I haven't actually done any recording of me singing lately, but I might, especially now that I got this. And what I like about this is it does have a 3-band EQ, the board. So, okay, now that's what I was going to say. On here you have 3-band on here too. You have, it's kind of backwards, but it's treble, mid, bass. Instead of, see on the mixing board, well, I guess that is the same. Actually, bass is usually at the bottom, yeah. So, it's the same, top to bottom, treble, mid, bass, treble, mid, bass. And you, in the effects, and then you have a pan on the board left and right, but I don't pan. And the only time I ever pan is if I'm mixing, I always mix, when you mix live sound, you really always, we always did, mixed in mono. In a live situation, there's actually more problems for the crowd to mix in stereo, because if you start putting things on the left and the right, well, there's only like, a small handful of people that are in the center of that stereo crossover there. So, where the sound crosses to sound like stereo to everybody. So if you were to actually mix in stereo, one side of the room would hear one half of the sound, and the other side would hear the other half. So you don't want to mix in stereo and live sound. But this is going to the computer for recording, so that could be something you could do. You could, if I had a couple of mics, you could pan them just a little, like going off a little more to the. What I always was learned to do was the vocals usually sound best right up the middle, and then you can put your guitar off to the left. And actually, I did it some in mono, and you can. Even though you're doing mono mix, you can really. It seemed always like you could hear a little difference. Anyway, you can move. The guitar to the left and the bass to the right a little bit. Or say you were mixing in a situation where that people weren't like all crowded up to the stage and stuff, and it wasn't as full. Like they were sitting in a pretty good listening area where panning might work. You could do that. In theory, I'm sitting here thinking, well, if you're in mono, panning wouldn't do anything. But I swear I used to do it, and it used to make a difference. You could hear it. But, and it might be because it's like, actually, even though it was in mono, I can't imagine how that could work in mono, panning. So anyway, but this is a stereo mix, so panning would work. So say if I was using 2 mics at the same time, you might actually want to do that. You might do, one off to the left just a hair, and the other one off to the right just a hair, or one off to one side and then the other one straight up the middle. But anyway, panning, used to pan the vocals to straight up the middle and the instruments off to the left and right a little, and it would make the vocals come out more clear. And actually, maybe what it was really doing is just turning down the volume a little bit on the instruments. It's almost impossible with live stage amps and everything to tell when you're panning, you know, with a mono mix, but with or without a mono mix. If you ever, I don't know if I really ever did it. It seems like maybe a friend of mine one time went to the trouble to set his mix up in stereo, thinking it would be fantastic, because he wasn't very experienced in mixing. He's really smart, but he hadn't mixed much. But he owned a mixer and a whole small PA setup, and he let me borrow his gear. And one time he was mixing, and anyway, he asked me. I explained all that to him. I had learned that from other people, you know, previously. But anyway, these are my presets on my Vamp, and right now I'm going to leave this the way it is, because it already sounds really good. The gain I'll probably change back to, see, it's different. It's just these little red lights. Like on the boards, I like it because you've got the numbers to tell you where you're at. You've got the 0, the unit, what they call unity. So like here in the effects, to the right of 0 is gaining it, and to the left is taking it back some. Now on here, I don't know how this thing works. It seems, I mean, if you're on, let's see, well, these are all presets. So if you had a blank one that like wasn't set at all, so I really don't. Maybe straight up like that bass is on Unity. I'm gonna work on that assumption, because that is supposed to be the standard. But without anything, you know, like there's no 0 or U up there to signify unity. So boards always have a 0. Some of them will have a U, or 0 and a U or something, to let you know where unity is, that you're at it. You know, especially with sliders, it was more important to, you know, I mean, you really needed to know. And with these knobs, I never wanted a board with knobs. I wanted sliders, but they cost so much more. But anyway, you got, let's see, the pan doesn't, but the EQs have you can feel it. There's a detent in there that you can know when you're at unity without even seeing it. I like that. So does the effects. The effects, I guess it's either not adding. Evidently, it's either adding it or taking, you know. But the funny thing is that's the theory, but in actual operation, most of these knobs, well, except for aside from the EQ, these knobs like the effects or the channels, if you want it off, you got to go to 0. If you put it on 0, you're still going to hear it, you know, on Unity. You got to go, well, there's 0 and then there's 0, 0. There's 0, minus 0, 0, and then there's plus 15 dB. So, but if you leave it on 0, it's going to be loud. So, it's kind of, the theory doesn't actually go along with practical operation. And I learned how to run mixing boards with my PVX R800. I learned how to use it long before I started learning the theory. About 10 years before I started learning the theory. So it's kind of hard for me to grasp what they were saying when they started teaching me that stuff. But luckily I had some people that what I would do is go to the shows and help out and work for free. And the guy running the sound, I got one guy named Barry Zeller, who was a great double kick drummer in a metal band, Christian metal band. He also he was really a good sound guy and had a full PA. And he taught me basically everything I know. Him and some other people along the way. But he taught me the theory. When I'd ask him a question, it'd take him 10 or 20 minutes to answer it. And sometimes I'd try to stop him and I'd say, I don't want to know all that. I just want to know this one thing. He said, if you'll just listen, I'll explain it to you, and once I'm done, you'll understand it, the whole thing. And I'm like, okay. And I reluctantly listened, and then finally I learned pretty quickly. When I ask a question, get prepared for a 20-minute answer. Because he'd sit there and explain it to me during the whole show while the show's going on, you know. Because we'd have 2, 3, 4 hours to go there, you know, for him to teach me stuff. So,
and he'd get off on another channel that wasn't being used and kind of demonstrate it, you know, and show me. So that Barry Ziller, thank you. You're an awesome guy. Hadn't seen him in 20-something years, I guess. But anyway, let's get something going here. And then I'll start talking on the mic. And of course, I can just switch over to it once I get it going. I'll have to use my earphones to. I can't play it through my speaker. That's one thing I'd like to be able to do, especially like when I start out my music. When I play my play-in and play-out music on my videos, I want to set it up so that, and I can do it with this board. I'll have to do some more wiring, but I can set it up where I can hear it. I'll have to think about it. I can set it up to where I can hear it one way or the other, without having to wear headphones. I don't want to have to wear headphones. It's fine for just wearing them just to set things up, but not the whole time I'm making a video, or to have to put them on at the beginning, then try to take them off. I mean, I'm in the video, so putting on and taking off headphones is not going to work too good. So let's see. I guess I'll go. I know if I go on my scene with both cameras at the same time, it tends to get more delay in my audio and video. My video will be behind my audio if I remember right. Nick's tired again today. Let's see. I haven't even set this up right yet. Okay. Yeah, this is it's actually a 50-foot mic cord. I never liked having to hook up two mic cables together. There's always a bad thing. They get hung on stuff and they end up wearing out the connections right here pretty quickly if you've got all that extra weight of two connectors. So when I bought my mic cables, at one time I had bought 5 brand new SM58s and five or six mic cables to go with them. I actually still have 3 mic cables I never unbundled yet. They're still brand new and in the case, and in my case over there. And I actually ended up giving those 5 mics away not long before I got these given to me, these here. But let's see. Okay, so right now I'm still on. Oh, the board should be on. So, but I don't see a signal. Well, I don't have anything turned on yet. Okay, there's no light to tell me that it's on. I just realized that. Oh, I didn't plug in the. I forgot to plug in the cable. I needed to plug that in first. So let me get over here. There's no way I can show what I'm doing now, I don't think. Let's see. I'll leave it like that for now. Okay, so I'm going to unplug I'm going to unplug my power supply. I don't want to plug this in. I think I read somewhere that it's bad. It's supposed to be bad to do it that way too. So this one is kind of, it's new, but it's way softer. This cable is, that one on my Behringer Vamp. These are both Behringer. It's like that plastic water. Oh, you wouldn't know what that was either. We used to have what they call swamp coolers, water coolers. It's this plastic tube for water going to it to give it water to make it work. And anyway, it was stiff and fought you and drove you crazy. And that's what it reminds. That's what this power cable on my VM reminds me of. I can't stand that cable. So give myself a little more slack. So if I need to. I was trying to stand up the VM, the new mixer, and it wouldn't stand up because the Vamp was laying on its cable. Okay, but this is a 3. People on their videos call it a XLR, but this is a 3-pin. It's more akin to a S-video cable in my book, but it's made just like it. It's just like a S-video connector. And that's the same type of connector that's on the, I think it's a little bit bigger. And I looked, well, it's got dual voltage, and it's not, you know, most of your power supplies convert AC to DC. This one doesn't convert AC to DC. It converts AC 120 volts to 5 volt AC and some other small voltage in AC, not DC. It's on the converter. Let me see if I can get that to where I can read it again. Input 120 volt AC, 60 hertz, 14 watts. Output 1, 2 by 18, 5 volt AC, not DC, 2 by 250 milliamps, and then I may be talking about the pins 2x. Anyway, output 2 is 3 volts AC at 100 milliamps. So that's different. So you definitely, if your power supply goes out, you're going to have to get one from them, from Behringer. There's actually other, I didn't realize how many common electronics. Oh, and there's something. Let me just get that. Let's see if I can get it over here. I think it might reach. I've got my little endoscope hooked up over here. Where is it? I got so many cables going every which way. I think this will reach over here. So, yeah, but will it turn to get right side up? It will. It's so hot I can't really touch it though. Okay, let's see if I can get still. I'm trying to put my hand on something so I can be still. There we go. Now, there's I'll read off my previous screen. Input 120 volts, AC 60 hertz, 14 watts. Output 1 is 2 by 18, 5 volts AC, 2 by 250 milliamps, and then I don't know why it says 2 by, because there's only 3 pins, a ground and 2 powers, two separate voltage. Then output 3 volts AC at 100 milliamps. Now here's the other thing that's curious, and I did not see that in the manual. I didn't look. That looks to me like an input for well, it could be an output. I guess you could try it with, but that looks like maybe I first thought. I mean, it's not labeled, so I first thought, well, hey, maybe you can run this. You know, it would convert DC to AC, like if you wanted to run this thing in a car or somewhere where you only have 12 volt. You know, 12 volts available, but I don't know. Did not see anything explaining that. So let's go ahead and I've got it's got a drawing, and I'll try to remember to go into that here in a little bit. But that's how I figured out how the circuits work too, right quick, to make sure I knew what to expect out of the circuits. The effects circuits, that was the one I was wondering whether or not what I explained about wet and dry signal is the only way you can do it, because I believe I have run into mixers that are either wired, just the opposite, you know. Actually, I don't think I have. I think maybe some of them had a switch where you could make it. Well, I know mixers had pre and post fader switches. This is post fader. So there's actually no fader on here, it's a knob, but they're calling it that. So the FX is post fader, so after your EQ and everything, then your FX is connected in there. Some of them, well, like say for monitors, very often could be, well, you could just switch for them, pre or post fader. Yeah, there was just pre and post fader switches for a lot of different things. A real big, nice board has a lot of complicated stuff on it. Okay, so let me plug this back in, and maybe we'll have a power light, because I swear I saw in the manual a while ago that it has a power light. You got to get it turned the right way. I'd like to have an extra power strip that I could just flip it on and off with, but those switches don't last very long. I wore one out on my air compressor in the garage.
not too long ago. And the switches are not cheap. I haven't found any. Well, I found some, but I hadn't tried to get any yet. But, okay, now there's a light on. Okay. So now we have a little, you can't tell. I can, but in the video you can't tell. Yes, you can. Okay, yeah. So you can see the light right there. So it's an orange light that tells you that it's on. And yeah, even though this is a lot more flexible than the one on the Vamp, it's still not a little unruly. Okay, so what you have here is negative 20 dB, 0 dB, and then plus 6, and then clip light. And if you turn on the phantom power, which I'll do here in a little bit, oh, it's not negative 48 volts, it's plus 48 volts. Negative 48 volts is your telephone system. And when I used to install a telephone company central office, do installations, all their batteries are negative 48 volts in there. All their actually, your telephone runs on negative 48 volts. I never knew that until then. So that's what they send to your house now. It might be broken down inside the telephone or something. I don't know, but I don't remember. So anyway, let's see what we can do about making that mic work. I think I will. No, let's see. Oh, I can do that. Let's see. Let's do desktop and cam 2. Yeah. And so it's not a I mean, the only thing I don't like about that is the preview in there, but I want to show the input on OBS Studio. So so on the left would be, you know, the mixer, and then on the right in the top here, yeah, you can see that. Right there where I'm putting the mouse, that's where that signal should come in. Mic aux. I don't know, it doesn't look very big in my preview, so I don't know. But the gain is all the way down, and that's the way, you know, that's the way it came, but that's the way you want to start. And all the mains, let me put it on Unity. I'll just put it right up on the middle, just to get started. And you can bring it up or down, whatever you need to do, but it doesn't have a D10 on it, but I'll bring it up to there. I don't know if you could hear that little noise. There's some noise in my speakers that happens sometimes, and it's my wireless phone that does it. It's nothing to do with any of this stuff. Throat's kind of getting dry. I don't know if that coffee will help or what. Okay, so let's see. Yep, there we go. Got a signal. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Hello.
Check 1 2. Check.
Check.
Hello. Check.
Hello. Check.
Oh, let me look at my.
Let me look at my.
Check 1 2. Hello. Check. Yeah,
hello. Check.
Heavy. That just turned it all the way just to see what would happen.
Hello.
Check.
Hello. Check. Hello. Check.
Hey, Don here.
Hey, Don here.
You know,
most of the time.
If you're using Shure
SM58s or any other good mic, most of the time you don't need any gain.
And that's running from
the stage with a 150-foot snake and 25 to 50-foot mic cables. You know, cable runs of that length.
You
usually don't need with any kind of decent mixing board. Most of the time I was using Mackies,
but if you want some headroom,
you want to have more, you know, be able to make it louder.
You don't want to be all the way.
You don't want to be all the way at the top. So I'm getting pretty far up.
My rule of thumb is
anything.
If you're getting up to
like 3/4
or 2/3,
I'm at 2/3 on my slider.
If you're up to there,
then you might want a little gain.
So I think
I will just go back to what's, you know, considered Unity and give it just a little gain.
Now here's the thing,
I can't hear the mic. Let's see.
And that is running through
my Vamp through the compressor, and I don't have any EQ going. I don't know. I'll probably what I want to do is take out all the EQ. I don't know if I'll put it what's considered, if this has got a Unity, or if I'll turn them all the way back, or what on the Vamp.
All right, now
I'm going to leave it to where it sounds good.
I
already know, you know. Well, of course, the board may color the sound. It may not sound the same anymore. I'm going to put my headset on.
Normally
I put the cable on the left because that usually is your left ear.
But
if you were listening in stereo or panning or anything,
but it's just
going to be in the way over there. So I'm gonna,
since where this is all
at, let's see, where is my? Okay, control room. Okay, so this is your headphone right here. There we go. Now, okay, control room and headphone are both the same.
So check one,
So
two.
check 1, 2, check 1, 2, check, check. Okay.
It's not a real
It's not
hot
a real
headphone.
hot headphone.
And that is
And that
before.
is
Now,
before.
If
Now, if I'd have put it over here in the,
I may want to do that.
I may
If
want to
put
do
it-
that.
This
If I put it, this is catches the signal
But see,
before.
for this
But see, for this purpose, this is
where I
really
would
where I would want
want
it.
it. Now you can do.
Now you can do two-track to mix, control room. Okay, control room. Let's see, two-track to control room, two-track to mix. Okay, you can't switch. Okay, yeah.
So
So
that's not a real hot.
that's
signal.
not a real hot signal.
So I might
So
gain it.
I might gain it a little bit.
Yeah, 'cause
Okay, yeah,
when you
because
have to go up that
see, when you
high,
have to
then
go
you
up that
get-
high,
on
then
the
you
headphones,
get, well, on the
a little
headphones, you get a little,
shh, like that.
you know, like that.
So
So
let's see.
let's see.
That didn't kill my
That
signal.
didn't kill my
no.
signal, did it? No.
I stopped putting the
I
headphones
stopped
in
putting the
there,
headphones in there,
might
might have killed my signal. Okay, I just was turned away from the mic.
Okay, now here we
Okay,
go.
now,
There we go.
There
That's
we go.
better.
That's better.
Probably about it.
Probably about it.
Now I'm up.
Now
a
I'm
little
up
past
a little
quarter.
past a quarter.
I can't see.
I
can
can't
only
see.
feel
I can only feel the
knob.
little
Okay, yeah.
knob. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So
So
there we go.
There we go.
It's probably about where I would want
about
it.
where I would want it.
Let's plug it into my
plug it into
VM
my VM
and see
and
what it
see
sounds
what
like.
it sounds like with the effects.
Ooh,
Ooh,
that's hot.
that's hot.
I just remembered.
I just remembered that's the problem I had with
when I
when
originally,
I
set,
originally
that up,
set that up.
is that
Is
that headphone
that
is hot
headphone
on
is
that
hot
VM,
on
and there's
that
no
VM,
volume.
and there's
knob
no
for it.
volume
So
knob
when you
for
get
it.
it
So when you get it
to where it will
to
work,
where it will work.
but that's the only way I
But
can
that's
hear
the only way I
what's
can
coming out
hear
of
what's coming out of there.
there. While I'm making a
While
recording,
I'm making a recording
in OBS
in
Studio,
OBS
I can
Studio.
use
I
another
can use another application
on the computer that
on the
will
computer
allow
that
me to
will allow
monitor
me to
through
monitor
my
through
speakers,
my
but not
speakers,
OBS
but
Studio.
not OBS
It
Studio.
actually
It
doesn't
actually
do that on
doesn't
purpose.
do that
So
on purpose. So
now, let's just
let's
move this one.
just move this one. Okay. Now check 1, 2.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that gives me a
You know, that gives me a lot of headroom. I might go back and change that. It may be too hot.
It looks good. Check
It
1,
looks
2.
good. Check 1, 2.
I don't know. Hey, check,
I don't
check,
know.
check.
Hey, check.
When
check,
I get
check.
fairly
When
loud,
I get
check,
fairly loud.
check, check,
Check.
check,
Check.
check. Well, my
Check.
compressor's
Check. Well, my compressor's working for me.
I just remembered
I just remembered
that was echoing.
that was echoing the whole time I was doing that. It's echoing right now, isn't it?
Okay, so I'm gonna mute.
Okay, so I'm going to mute the mic. No, I can't. Okay, I'll mute it for a minute. Sorry, I bet that was really annoying, but with me, you know, moving it and getting away from it and all that, you'd have never heard what I was saying. You probably couldn't understand me, though. Okay, so I want to test this out and see if it works. And so yeah, I guess I'll put it on. Well, now let me. Yeah, let's put it on so we don't have a bunch of noise. And everything. I don't have any windscreens for this big lapel. I'm sure you could buy them cheaply enough, though. Just put that on my shirt. Now I got 2 lapels. Okay, but one's wired and one's not. Now, in order to get to my mouse, I got to move that. So, just realized. Now this one, I can't seem to figure out. Well, let's do that. No, that's not going to work. Let's see.
Okay, if I just pull that cable over some, it's been rolled up so long it wants to stay rolled up. Okay, let's put it around my cup. So that'll keep it routed away from where when I go to grab my mouse to do something, I won't. Okay, let's leave it like it is so that I can show the signal still. Okay, now I want to do the same thing with this one. Where is it? Check 1, 2. Okay, now we need phantom power. Oh yeah, don't turn it up until after you get your phantom power on. And you want to have these plugged in before. You want to plug these in after you turn phantom power on, because it will make a bad pop, and that can be bad for your speakers if you're running through your speakers. But also, I've read over and over and over when it comes to condenser mics. This is a condenser mic and I do have, well, I have it muted too right now, so that's good. I'll have to unmute it because that input is the line level input that I'm using to go into the computer. Which you want to do that when you're using mixers and stuff. You don't, if you're using just like a little regular computer mic, then you would use the mic input. But if you're doing mixers or any kind of hot signal, you want to use the line level into your computer. That'll help you a lot with your distortion troubles too. But line level is what, you know, that's a little hotter signal than a mic signal. And so that line level input is ready for that. It's it's ready to handle it. So gain is all the way down, the level's all the way down, but I still have my headphones up to about halfway. So I'm going to turn on phantom power. Now a little red light comes on. Now a lot of people said it sure does. They said when they turn it off, it stays on. The light stays on. I think that might be a strange thing in the design, but you know, you would think it would go off so that you would know that you've turned it off. Like say you forget and you hit the wrong button, you know, but it's on. And it may be that the way the board's made, that once you turn it on, you can't turn it off. Somebody, the last video I saw where they were talking about that, they said, well, when you unplug it, the light, and plug it back in, the light it will be off. So it does that. Well, let's see if it works. Of course, I don't know for sure this is a working mic, so I couldn't say that the phantom power is bad just because of this mic, if it doesn't work. But let's see if it does. What have I got here? Oh my God. I was having a cable hanging out, and I was like, what's that? That's my headphone cable that I'm wearing. Okay. Now I don't know what to do with it. Okay, let's see. First off, I want to unmute.
We got those two mics.
And we got those two mics. Oh, let's turn this one down, of course. Turn down the SM58. Now, let's see. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Check, check, check. All I'm getting is static. Okay, let's go up to the middle. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Check, 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 check. This may be a bad mic. Check, 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 check. I did get it to make a noise. Unless the it could have a bad cable or something. But it's not. All I'm getting is static, but I'm not getting a signal. Check 1, 2. Check, check, check. Check 1, 2. Of course, you can still hear me because I'm still got on my other lapel from my phone. Check, check. I'm looking at the, I guess I should have, oh, well, you can see what I'm looking at. Well, I guess that's better than, well, let me just do this. Move to workspace 1, and I'll put this up in front of the preview. The one that I don't actually want to see. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, that'll keep, for one thing, that'll keep me from looking at that tiny, I forget and I look at the little one, because I'm always used to looking at my preview to see what y'all are seeing. Now, okay, there we go. Okay, check 1, 2, check, check, check. Okay, so I don't know if this is a bad mic or what. definitely not working. Oh. Let's see, you know, there are some things that you'd have to plug into the first click instead of all the way down. And this could be that it's wired kind of funky, because it's not the normal Pro Audio kind of connector that's on here. Check 1, 2, check, check, check. Check, 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 check. No. Same thing. Okay, let's try the other channel just to see. Put it on the left. Check 1, 2, check, check, check. Check 1, 2, check, check, check. See, there's not even any gain on those, though. They're just line level signals, so I wouldn't expect that to work. Let's see, check 1, 2. Check, 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 check. Check. Check, check, check. I mean, it doesn't cut in and out or anything like, you know, it's a bad cable. But that looks like a, it looks like a Radio Shack type. It probably is a radio. It might not be. It kind of does look like a Radio Shack connector. Could have been the original one broke and they put one on there. But my friend's dad was an electronics engineer. He worked at a place called LTV over here in my area as an electronics engineer in aircraft manufacturing. So he knew how to wire stuff. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2. Just get a hiss, that's all. Okay, so, oh man, I'm really disappointed. I don't know, it could be something in the connector. It's tight. Let's see. Give me a pliers. I got some. My little toolbox is open and sitting right there. So, see if I can get that cover off and see how it's wired. Only thing I can really imagine is if it was wired backwards or something. Nope. The ground is on the ground, and the usually a TS is the tip is the power, and the sleeve. The tip is the power, and the sleeve is the ground, and that's the way it's wired. It's actually not a bad looking, even though it's got a plastic cover on it. It's not a badly made connector. And either the person that wired that was a really good solderer or it's factory. So, of course, his dad might have been a fantastic solderer, but he was an engineer, not an assembler, or, you know, or anything. So, I don't know whether he got. Well, I know he did, because some of the stuff I got was he was into that stuff, because here's a Dynaco preamp that I got, a 400 watt Dynaco amp, which were kits that you put together back in the day, in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Seems like I had, no, just those two things, I think. Oh, and he made that patch bay, and that's all soldered. So I think he was an ace solderer, better than I ever was back when I could see. I'm old now, and I can't see. And my hands aren't steady anymore like they used to be. So, I guess it doesn't work. Well, I'm disappointed. I always thought it would be a good mic. Now, well, I still want phantom power for that other mic. I want to test that other mic. I'll just get this other one, get this one off from here and put it back. I had a twisty for it, and now I don't know what I did with it. Oh, there it is. Okay, so I think I just checked my live stream, make sure it's still there. It could be in trouble for all I know. Okay, let's roll this up first, then I'll do that. Man, I've had this thing for years now. Well, really, I think it's quite a bit more than, it's at least 10 years. Could have been, I don't know, it could have been more like 15 years since he passed away and I got this stuff. But That looks like one of those ones off the Behringer. Looks like one of those new crappy twisties. Where's the one that came off of this? Let's just use it for now. Probably laid it somewhere else. I know it had one. Maybe this would have had on it. I don't know. I usually don't. I don't like these new ones that are don't last 2 twists, you know. And I usually don't use them. Okay, so I actually have little sticky notes of. Let's go to my live feed here. I actually have little sticky notes telling me what's happened last with that thing. So didn't work. Guess I'll write that down. Unless I've already forgot it. How to spell Behringer? Is it Behringer on the front of this? X802 XENYX. I can't spell that XENYX for nothing. I'm just going to say 802 mixer. Okay. So put it in my little bag here, and I don't know why it doesn't work. I swear it did work. Thought it did on his mixer. Okay, we're live and we're doing good. Okay. Good. Now, go back to 1 for now. Let's get this other one. These bags are actually my bags from my 8 mics that I had. For some reason, I think I forgot to give them. Now this mic is a Shure, and it has its own little clip. It's a model 579 SB Vocal Sphere, Shure, made in the USA. Now my 58 does not say made in the USA. I've got the papers and everything. It's one of those that it has a let me get over here on the closer view. It has a metal. They used to see that a lot, and have a lot of them had black ones, but this one's all silver and chrome. But you can you unscrew that and screw it back on the other way, and you can flip the switch on and off. But you'd have a problem with your talent turning it off and then not remembering, and then they're saying the mic's not working right when they need to talk. So we would always do something. If they had a switch, we would make that switch stay on, and then we would control it at the board. And this one is set to where you can't turn it off. Well, oh no, it's not. You can turn it on and off. Okay. Kind of confusing there. Okay, but there's no switch on that other one. I didn't do that on that lapel. Okay, so oh, I got to get a. Oh, and it has its own little. Has its own clip because it's a really small body. So it's got a metal band on it to keep it from breaking. And I mean, as old as it is, it's never broke. So you can put it on a regular standard mic stand. And it's got a real nice brass insert. It's not just the threads like you usually see. It's a whole solid, down in the bottom of it, it's solid brass. It's actually heavy. So won't work on the V-amp. See, I tried them on the V-amp, and with the V-amp, I was actually able to get a little noise out of them, but I'm not getting any better so far out of. Okay, so I got to grab another mic cable. I'm gonna grab one out of my kit. Setting back up. Oh, I've got the headset on. Trying to walk off with the headset on, it doesn't work too good. But I believe I was using the, yeah, I was having to use that converter, so let's see. Yeah, because I didn't have an XLR. Actually, I don't want that one. I want the one that's, yeah, I do. I want this one right here. Okay.
This is an older cable, but it's one that worked last time I used it, and it's a shorter one, 15 or 25 foot. But it's got, yeah, A Squared. That was the name of my friend's company that I worked with. He had a sound company. Sorry, Greg, I didn't mean to keep this. That's where that one came from. Okay. Plug you up. And this might have some interesting, if it works, it may have some interesting sound to it, you know, some interesting character. Okay, can't seem to get my... There we go. Well, I'm not going to unroll the whole cable until I see if it's going to work. Is that... Oh, I turned it down. I was going to say that other... Okay, now, oh yeah, it works good. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2. Don't need any gain whatsoever. That's a hot mic. That's way hotter than a 58. Well, it should be. I guess it's a condenser mic. I've already forgotten. It could be a cardioid. But let me get my headset on so I can hear what it sounds like. To set it up. Okay, now. Check 1, 2. Check, check. Check 1, 2. Check, check, check. Oh, it's just noise. Ow! Oh, did you hear that? I heard that. That like to blew my ears out. That's that thing you're not supposed to do. Turn the mic on and off. So I had the channel up. Check 1, 2. That's the other reason you don't want to have that switch usable. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Well, that's what turns it off. Oh, that hurt. Man, that was bad on my headphones, too. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Check, 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 check. Check, 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 check. Checking to see if my headphones still worked. It was that bad. Okay, let's turn it just a little bit and try the gain. Check, check, check. Check, check. Now that's all I ever got. I got the same thing or something similar. Didn't sound this exactly the same. Now, not knowing whether or not these mics work, I don't know if... the nice thing about the mixing board, though, is see, I can turn my mics up and down here. I can't turn this one up and down, though. I also have to use the keyboard to mute and unmute the lapel, my wireless lapel. It doesn't. It goes straight to the computer through a VLC stream, video LAN. So I'm going to guess. Man, that's really bad because now I don't know if my new mixer doesn't work right or if both of these mics are bad. That sucks. I don't have anything else that's a condenser mic. Well, the mixer works on the regular mic though, doesn't it? But what if the only thing that doesn't work is the phantom power? I do remember reading some people saying, oh, it only puts out 15 volts of phantom power and it's not enough for my so-and-so mic. But they say they put out 48 volts. That's their specs. But, I mean, I got a really hot signal out of this thing that, you know, hurt my ears and really hurt my ears. So, I would say that... of course, I could have been wrong about this mic. It may be a cardioid. I have the papers over there in my box. It may not be a... it has an adjuster on it. Be darned. Dynamic low. Says dynamic low, and there's a little bitty screw. Oh, I don't think that's an adjuster. I think that's how you get the head off of it. Some mics, some of your condenser mics have adjusting screws on them to adjust the frequency a little bit. Yeah, it takes a little Allen wrench. I think I remember seeing those in somewhere in my stuff. I'd have to look this up again. Let's see. Well, I won't do it right now. I may have to do some research on it, but it should, you know, I would think that it would at least make some sort of sound if it was working. Because what I remember is you could attenuate the mic. You know, you could adjust its frequency response a little bit. Guess I should try another cable before I decide that it was the mic. Always check your cables. So yeah, this could be a bad cable. I didn't bother wiggling the cable around or anything. It didn't actually occur to me. But yeah, for all I know, this cable is, this is a well-used cable here, so for all I know, there could be a short in it. So before I give up on that mic altogether, let's try another cable. Let's see. I don't think my cable's going to line up the way I want it to. Well, usually they don't, but it's got a zip, got a Velcro on it. Okay, let's get another one. But let's don't wear the headset over there though. That's why I don't like to wear a headset. As soon as I get used to it being on, I'll start taking off. Okay, now. Well, I know that this cable here is just, it's another one of those 50 foots that it's been used before, but it's just like, it's brand new. So, let's try it. It's gonna have to unwind it a little bit so that I can get it up there to plug it in, looks like. Let's see. I just laid it in my lap, doing it that way. Okay, this one I have a twisty on it. Now, make sure everything's off before I plug this in. Headset. Okay. Keep it down, keep it down, keep it low. Keep it down, boys, keep it low. Okay, now I'm all messed up here. Already got it tangled. I kept trying to figure out which way I wanted to lay the roll of wire. One way is I couldn't get the any more wire out from the end where the mic goes. Okay, where'd the mic go? I already put it up. Okay, let's try it again. Okay. Now, I can even hear that with it turned down. So let's see. Try this again. Check 1, 2. Check, check, check. Nope. So it's not the cable. It's just static. Nothing but static. Oh. Where'd it go? Thought I saw a light on the board. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Check, check, check. It could have been the clip light came on when I unplugged it or something. Oh yeah, that's what it was. Clip light came on when I unplugged it. Because it's still making that noise, it's just not being sent out through the board. Still making the noise inside the board, inside the mixer. Okay. So, well, while I've got this here, I'll try an SM58. Trying to think, where can I put this cable to, I'm going to take this twisty off of here for right now. It's going to get hung up on stuff. From what I'm thinking I'm going to do, I think I'm going to stick it up under my desk here. I have a lot of space under there that I think I can just, I'm trying not to get this all out and all over the place, you know. That's what I'm trying to do. It quickly wants to unravel. Let's see, yeah, I think I better put that twisty back on there. Keep it from going into a big mess. Let's see. Guess I'll give myself that much slack. I didn't want to too much because then it'll just be in the way. If I put it in the floor, I'm going to roll my chair over it because I'm getting up and coming back and forth here. So, I don't know. I think that's still going to be a bad idea. It is. It's not going to work. Okay, so I'm just going to put it down here where I normally put my feet because I'm not really putting my feet up there right now anyway. That's just enough room where I can get to the mic. Okay, that'll work. Now. All right. See, I remembered this time. Take the headset off before you take off. Okay, now. Now I've got two 57s over here. I think I've tested them before. And I have a couple of old, I have a PG48, which is really all it's good for. I used to use it for, I don't remember why I have it, but it's a Shure PG48 with a switch on it. It makes a good talkback mic when you're working at the soundboard. We're going to talk back through the monitors to the band. But it doesn't have a good sound at all as far as singing through it or even talking through it, really. So, I mean, if that's all you had, I think that maybe I bought it because I wanted a mic. And I didn't. I think I bought it to try to use it on my computer. But the thing is about it's a low impedance mic, and so you need a preamp in order to, computers just won't, you got to have some kind of preamp to hook up to really use yeah, you can't even get enough signal to use them. But they have a lot more. 57s go down about 10 hertz lower than a 58. So a lot of people like to use them. You'll see people that want to sound like a radio DJ, they'll use them. The ones that they know that and they use them on purpose. So check 1, 2, check 1, 2.
Okay, I don't hear it.
Okay, I don't hear it.
Check, 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 check. Oh, there we go.
Check. Oh, there we go.
I guess I just need to give it a little more.
I guess I just need to give it a little more.
Give it just a little gain.
Give it just a little gain, I guess. Check. Yeah, it's just not very loud.
I'll just put it right up in the center.
I'll just put it right up in the center there and do this kind of the way I did the other one.
Check, check.
1, 2, check, check.
Check. Hello, check.
Check.
Yeah, you don't
Hello, check.
really need near as much gain as you did on the
gain
58.
as you did on the 58.
Hello, check, 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 check.
Hello, check,
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 1,
check,
2.
check. Check 1,
Now that's
2.
the exact same.
Now that's the exact same.
Hello, check. This is.
Hello, check.
Hey, this is Don.
Hey, this is Don, and hey, this is Don. Oh.
Okay, let's try both mics.
Okay, let's try both mics here.
Here's the 58. Hey, this is
58.
Don.
Hey,
Looks
this
like
is
it might
Don.
be a little louder.
Looks like it might be a little louder.
And of course the 57,
And
it's a
of course the
narrower
57,
pattern,
it's a
so you
narrower
have to,
pattern, so you have to
Okay, I'm turning them up to,
okay, I'm turning them up to
you know, unity. Hey,
unity.
this is Don.
Hey,
I
this
may
is
have given
Don.
myself a little
I
too
may have
much
given
gain,
myself a
but
little
hey,
too
this
much
is Don.
gain.
Hello,
Hey,
hey,
this
hello,
is
hey.
Don. Hello, hey, hello, hey.
Hey, this is Don.
Hey,
No,
this
it's
is
about the
Don.
same.
No, that's
Oh, well,
about
I'm
the
holding
same.
one closer than
Oh, well,
the
I'm
other.
holding
Hello,
one
hey.
closer than the
Yeah.
other. Hello, hey. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Now this is stereo miking.
Now this is stereo miking. Oh.
Yeah, you get. I do
Yeah,
have
you
the
get
58. The
I do
58 is
have the
different.
58.
57 is
58's
definitely
57
hotter.
is definitely hotter.
Oh well, it's kind of hard to tell because I got
well,
them
it's
both
kind of hard
on.
to tell
Okay,
because I got them
check
both
1, 2.
on. Okay.
Hey, this
Check 1,
is
2.
Don.
Hey, this is Don.
58.
Oh,
Okay.
it's the
Hey,
58.
hey, hey. Of
Okay.
course,
Hey,
I'm still
hey,
wearing
hey.
the
Of course,
lapels.
I'm
so
still
it's
wearing the lapels. So it's
not a true test at all.
not a true
but,
test at all. But
Oh, I keep forgetting you get that.
oh, I keep forgetting you get that horrible echo because it's running through wireless. Okay, I'm gonna mute.
Hey, this is Don. Okay, that's my new mic check phrase. Okay, hey, hello, hey. Might be a little bit. I'm just going to hold the 57 right there at the same distance as the other one. And now we'll do stereo miking. Okay, hello, hey. And I actually thought about, maybe that'd be kind of cool to do that. Couldn't do it between the wireless and the wired, but with 2 wired mics you can do that. And that's just a 57, so yeah, I think it's a little less hot than the 58. I mean, it is as gain wise. Hey, this is Don. Oh, every time ow, hit my elbow. Every time I change anything on my screen, then my meter goes away there. Hello, hey, hey, hey. Hello, hey, hello, hey, hello, hey. Huh. Now it seems a lot weaker. Just depends on how. Hello, hey, hey. Hello, hey, hey, hey. They seem, in the meter, it looks like they're the same. And then that's both of them together. Definitely can hear myself better in the headphone when I do that. But you should be able to tell on the 57, probably you can tell that I sound a little bit lower. On the 58, it's what I would consider to be more normal, what your normal voice sounds like. I mean, that's what I go for, is I don't try to enhance my voice as far as I don't try to make it deeper or higher or anything. I just try to make it sound nice and smooth, but sound like me, and that's all I do with the EQ. And I haven't done anything to the EQ. Of course, I'm not listening. I'm listening to pre-effects on the mixer here. I'm not listening to it coming out of the V-amp. The signal's so hot it blows my head off when I try to do that. But let me try it. Yeah. Ooh, let's see, that's so hot. I can't stand it. And and it, I can see that it's not too hot. That's the 57. Hello, hey, hey, hey. That's both of them. Hello, hey, hello. Hello, hey, hey, hey. That's 58. That's the 57. Check 1. Check. Check, check, check. Hello, check, check. What I'm wondering here is, it blows my head off, even though I know it's like too quiet. I can see in the signal that it's way too quiet, but it's blowing my head off. But I'm wondering, I hear little psh noises when I talk and listen through the V-amp, but it doesn't go through my recording like that. But or it never did. That would be bad if that's what it sounds like. And take that out. At least that doesn't blow my head off. Whenever I let's go back to my 57. I mean my 58. Okay, now I can go to my preview and see what I sound like there. Actually, I guess I should plug my headset into my computer, because if I play it on YouTube, then I can hear it. It'll be a little delayed, but I'll hear it. Just gotta make sure I plug it into the right one over there. Okay, now, uh-oh. I think that kills, can't do that, can I? I think that kills my, let's see, I think that kills my output going to, it's showing up, but I'm really not sure. Let's see, oh, it just kills my speaker out. I could turn that off. But I want to listen to it on the headphones so I can tell what it sounds like. I'm really not sure. Let's see. Oh, it just kills my speaker out. I could turn that off. But I want to listen to it on the headphones so I can tell what it sounds like. Okay, sounds pretty good. Now let's switch over to the 57. Okay, now we're on 57 at Unity gain, and the gain, well, not Unity gain, but Unity level. Sounds pretty good. The gain is a little lower on the 57. Okay, now we're on. Oh, my playback is not, it's beginning to cache, but my stream's good. Everything's okay. It's okay. It came back now. Okay, so that's what I sound like. Yes, I think it sounds a little deeper. When I listen to it after the recording's all done, then I'll know for sure. But that's what's. Okay, so that's what I sound like. Yes, I think it sounds a little deeper. When I listen to it after the recording's all done, then I'll know for sure. Okay, I gotta close my playback. It's driving me crazy. Okay, so yeah, so we've got. Oh, this whole time I didn't realize that I was on cams 1 and 2. Somehow, at some point, I switched. I still thought I was on desktop and the other one or whatever. But, so let me move this. That fooled me. I'll move my meter over here to another window all on its own. Okay, so I'm still talking on the 57. And I think the levels are good, but I don't have any EQing done, and I wouldn't right now. It sounds good. But what I was wondering is if my EQ in my new board would be better. Well, the good thing about it would be better to use the EQ in the board, probably, because you might want a different EQ for each mic. You know, right now I'm not using it. I'm just using the EQ I already had set in the Behringer preamp. I'll call it a preamp. That's what it is. It's Guitar Fix preamp. But I don't have much, like the bass is where I suppose is Unity on here. It's halfway up. The mid is just a hair past halfway up, and so is the treble. So I really don't have much done to it. So I think what I'll do, let's go back to the 58 because that's what I'm used to. Turn off the 57, turn on the 58. Now I'm going to turn these back to what I'm going to suppose is Unity. I think I need to stand it up where I can see it. It won't stay stood up. I was trying to get that, it will, if I set it like that. That extension cord going over to the phone. Of course, you don't want your AC power cords crossing or like running along with. They can cross, but you don't want them running alongside each other. You don't want to run your extension cord in with your cables, your sound cables. That can make a. I don't hear that standard classic AC hum, but if you did, that would be why. It gives you trouble, mostly on long cable runs, like with the Snake. But like when we would set up for sounds, concerts and stuff, and sometimes you know you might only good place to run all your cables was like in the same general area, but keep your extension cords, your AC cords at least. They used to say 7 inches. I always kept them at least 10 inches apart, and I've seen them make noise lots of times. Like if you had somebody helping you and they didn't know that, or you told them and they didn't listen to you, which was usually my case. I would tell them and they didn't listen, and you hear AC buzz, and then you get over there and walk down your Snake and see what's laying. It's not the crossing, it's the running parallel, and if they're too close, like even that close, or like I said, within about 5, anything less than 10 inches is probably it could possibly give you trouble. So and depending on the building and how noisy, how dirty the AC is, what they always said, how dirty not air conditioner but AC power. So I'm going to turn these back. Oh, and the gain. Really, I could get my gain out of the board. It might have a cleaner gain. Yeah, that was one thing I've been wanting to do. Okay, I'm going to put those where I think Unity is. And I guess on the gain, see with the gain on the board, you just bring it all the way back. So let's see. All right, now I'm going to try to stay in this same general area with the microphone that I would want to be. And let's turn back the gain on here. And I think on this thing, what you want to do is turn it all the way back. Yeah, with the gain, that's typically what you do. Okay. Oh yeah, that's blinking because anytime you change anything, it's blinking, and if you hold it in for a couple of seconds, it'll save that setting. That may be what I'm going to end up wanting to do with the board. Now, I already used some gain in the mixer, didn't I? See, now I need more gain on the mixer, or more. You can't even hear me telling that. Okay, so yeah, I actually need, in order to get that to do right, well, now what I might want to do, let's see, let's turn that up about halfway. Now if I have to get up past halfway, then I might actually want to, let's see, oh, too much. Oh, you get up to the top and then boom. Yeah, I remember one of the videos, it was somebody that really seemed to know sound pretty well. I really would hardly ever run my gain. 3/4 of the way is about the max I would ever run any gain, because you're going to start getting noise. I don't have my headset on. Where did I do with it? Oh, it's in the computer. You know, I had a lot of gain on the Vamp. That might have been why it was so loud I couldn't stand it. Okay, yeah, that's pretty hot now. Sounds okay. Well, I can hear background noise. When you would, I may be better off using the treble, you know, everything that's in the Vamp. But I can hear the sounding like the air conditioner's running. But it's not. It's computers, I guess, I can hear. I've got so much gain going on here, see? Trying to get that signal. Okay, well, yeah, that makes a lot of difference when you back off there. Okay, now, yeah. That's the number one reason you don't want to use too much gain, is because it's on your mixer. Yeah, either way, you're going to end up with too much. I don't know if that background noise is coming through on the stream, or if the compressor and noise gate is taking that out. It does work fairly well, but you know, I'm kind of thinking I'm gonna go. I won't save any of this in the Vamp because I'm kind of thinking I'm going to go right back to what I had. I think it was better. Let me go get into the Vamp. The signal looks weaker, but it sounds really good on the board. But see, the signal I'm looking at, I'm talking about, is the one on the computer. I'm not showing that right now. Let me switch my view so I can show it again. Put this back in space 1 here, and I'll just put this. I'm trying to put it somewhere to where it won't. I'll know when I change. You know what scene I'm on. I'll know. Let's see. There we go. Okay. I don't know. Okay, I'll do that again. It helps me. And yeah, okay. So that's very. Oh, well, I can turn this down. There's a volume on the headphones on the board. I just had it where I needed it a while ago. Okay, so I'd really kind of like to have that phantom power light off. I'd have to unplug and plug back in the board, but I may do that here in a minute. It shouldn't have, but phantom power doesn't affect these dynamic mics. They don't accept it. You know, they're not wired to accept it. So now what I'm going to do is go over here and plug my headset into the Vamp. It's just loud no matter what. I can't even stand it. I forgot about the master volume on here. Oh, and there's a volume and a master volume. Okay. But, of course, that killed my signal. That killed my signal altogether, didn't it? Okay. But I never did like having those up all the way. Although they were pretty quiet. Check. Okay, yeah, when I turn it down, hello, check. Okay. Yeah, I don't think that would be hot enough. That might be okay. 1, 2, 1, 2, check. 1, 2, check. 1, 2, check. 1, 2, check. 1, 2, check, 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 check. Oh, I forgot that I had my gain up. Where's my, no, I can't tell where it's at. Check 1, 2, 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 check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Okay, that's my. It's quite a bit of. Check 1, 2. that's my singing one. It sounds like quite a bit of reverb. Now, this is the one that actually kills the reverb. That's what I use for the talking. Well, in my headset, I have the master volume. Yeah, I have it turned down now. And I can see the signal's not near as... What I normally have is it turned up all the way on the master, on the VM. When I turn it up pretty loud, I can turn the volume up all the way on the channel or the effect. But whenever and the gain's up 3/4 of the way. But the master volume, when I turn it up, that's when it blows my head off and gets staticky sound. Although that doesn't, it comes through on the headset, but doesn't come through to the recording because I've used it that way forever. And when I talk, I hear a funny little staticky sound. Makes you think that every time the compressor kicks in, it's making a staticky sound, but it actually seems to be okay. But my signal's very, very weak, and you're not hearing me, are you? And I think when I do that, that's probably worse. Okay, well, I don't know what to do to make it, already forgot where I had everything. Check 1, 2, hello, check. That's probably, yeah, that's where I had it. And let's see, where's that 57 at? Check 1, 2, hello, check. Oh, I keep forgetting. I always want to hold it up really close. Okay, hello, check, hello, check. I think you actually kind of want to just set them on about the same. Hello, check, 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 check. Yeah. Check 1, 2. Now I think I have the 57 up a little hotter than the 58. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2. Okay. Yeah, you want a little bit of gain on this board for a 57 or a 58. That's just 57 again. But the main thing when you're going through the computers, you really got to watch that input. And I had to learn. You have to learn, you know, your system, your software, your hardware, what that gain, you know, whether or not it represents that it, what you see in the little window there, whether or not it's going to clip, it's going to distort, and it's not accurate at all. I mean, it seems to give the same results all the time, but what you would, especially when you're coming over from doing analog sound for 20 years, really, 83 to about 2002 or something, not 20 years quite, but of course I messed with sound my whole life, long before I ever got a soundboard. I had reel-to-reel cassette decks, and I've been recording since I was about 10 years old, so on cassette decks. I mean, not cassette decks, reel-to-reel decks, and then cassette decks, So, but everything I did most of my life was analog, so it's a completely different animal. Actually, a lot easier to use, a lot more forgiving, and easier to get the nice warm tone out of than digital stuff. So, I don't know. I mean, I have that Vamp set up really nicely, and see, I'm on the 57 now, and I don't have a air pop filter on it either, so I heard that pop. Let's go back to the 58. I'm trying to holding it up anyway. Just put it over there for now. Okay. But they're nice mics, and they can be used in a lot of time, a lot of ways, useful. So yeah, it's just a dry, plain signal coming off the board when I listen to the headset. That's just fine. I mean, if I wanted to hear myself, then that would work. But the only way that I can listen to myself through the Vamp is to turn the volume down. Actually, I can just turn down the master volume, but of course if I'm doing that live like I was just now doing, then I killed the mic in the live feed, actually, the recording, and it's being recorded, but it's a live feed too. I kind of forgot for a minute that earlier when I was doing that, I had the lapel going at the same time, so you could always hear me. Then I started realizing that whole time I was doing that, you were having this horrible echo. So anything I was trying to demonstrate was not working. You know, I mean, all you were getting was like this most annoying echo. So I kept forgetting that a while ago. So sorry about that. But now I'm back on the 57. I can't say the numbers right. 58, the SM58, and I guess if I had that, no, okay, yeah, if I knew what scene I was on, I would know what I was showing. So I'm back on the SM58, and I don't even have this turned on yet. It's on my head, and it's driving me crazy, so don't need that. So there I've got it up and going. And of course, well, I did listen to it once over my live feed, so yeah, I know it's working the way I'd expected it to. I just went. I started to try to. I thought, well, you know, I mean, I would think that this mixer would have a cleaner signal, cleaner EQ, and all that than the Vamp, but actually, it probably doesn't. I mean, this being older is why I thought that. They're the same brand. This has lights for indicators, which is actually nice and really easy to, you know, I can know right where I'm at with these. Whereas, on like for instance, the gain, it's all black. It doesn't have a multicolored, so I don't know where that pointer is except for when I can feel it. All the rest of these I can see them. Well, actually, the gain level, it's white and gray. It's harder to see, but the EQs, it's blue with gray, so I can see that really well. I know right where they are. The EFX is red with gray, and the pan is black with gray, which I'm not going to bother with the pan. But the blue and gray is the ones I can see the best, especially with it. You know, normally you want the board kind of slanted. Actually, all mixers were made that way. They were kind of made, they were slanted, so that when you're sitting or standing over them, you know, you can just sit there. It's more level to your eyes. Well, this one's not. It's flat, and I'm sitting in a chair down kind of low to it, so my chair actually went down a little bit. It keeps its piston is starting to leak, and it just takes about a couple of days for it to go down an inch, you know. So it's already back down an inch or so. Anyway, I just realized between these two, I can actually tell where I'm at with this a lot quicker and easier. With it standing up, well, it's standing up. That's another thing. And this, you could figure out some way to make it be. Well, I could set it on something so that it's leaning up. I may have to start doing that. I don't have anything out right now that I could just prop it up on. But and you don't want to mess up your wiring, you know, knock it loose or, you know, bang it. Just doing like that, maybe making static. I don't know. Depends on how good those cables are. But yeah, in order to listen to this, of course, the way I set this up before, I couldn't stand to listen to the headset, because in order to get it up loud enough for the computer to hear it right, you know, for the input on the computer to work, it was too much for me to listen to over the headset. It was too loud coming out of the headset, because the output, the main output and the headsets, there's no separate volume controls. So whatever kind of however hot the signal is coming out the mains is also the same coming out the headset, and my ears are actually hurting from doing that. So I blasted my ears so many times trying to do that. But oddly, with that master turned up all the way, you don't get all the noise I was hearing. The headphone preamp is much noisier than the output preamp, luckily. And same thing on the board. I think the one on the board is probably better than the one on the Vamp. But once you turn the volume up on it a little bit, you hear that hiss. And I remember everybody kept commenting that on their demos of it. And they said several of them said they finally figured out that what was coming out, and I already knew this from years of experience. Once they said it, I really hadn't thought about it, but generally your little headphone preamps aren't that great. And what's coming out of the mains is going to be a lot cleaner than what comes out of the headphones. But they were real worried that the board was, you know, going to be sending a nasty signal out to their computer, because that's what everybody does now. You know, they call it podcasting, but I don't know. Podcasting used to be just talking, making audio recordings. I don't know if that's, but they call it podcasting, but yet they're sitting there making a video. So I don't know. I guess that's what they call it now. Most people call that vlogging, you know, VLOGGING or whatever, VLOGING, video log, but like blog, but with video. Anyway, so I don't know. I may not. I was thinking I'm going to have to spend a lot of time resetting up all my EQ and everything. I still probably will end up wanting to do that, but your gain structure, like just now when I started fiddling with it, your whole gain structure changes, and it may turn out that I have to gain this too much and get noise out of it in order to boost the signal. Well, I'll tell you one thing. I just thought of that. This has got a compressor in it and a noise gate. So the more I gain this signal, the more this is going to cut it down. So that really would not be the way to do it. The way to do it would just be to send a modest signal out of here, nice clean signal, and then if there's any gain that needs to be done, do it over here. They call it a makeup gain or output gain in a regular rack mount compressor, you know. So basically, yeah. So that I was going against the standard principles of mixing, trying to turn this down and turn this up. That wouldn't be what I'd want to do. Since it's daisy chained together and you can't get to the, you know, it's not side chained in, it's not effects out and, you know, effects back in. And I could do that, but I don't think that's what I want, because I don't want any of my mic signal to not be compressed, you know, because then I'll be ended up fighting with the distortion again. Because if that signal's not compressed, then anytime I forget and get too close, or if something loud happens, it won't get compressed. You know, it'll have two signals. It'll have a compressed signal and an uncompressed signal, like a wet signal, a dry signal, you know. So I won't be wanting that. So I guess the daisy chaining is the only way with this computer setup. The reason that you'd like to have a wet and a dry signal is for effects, actual effects, like vocal effects and stuff. When you're not, what we used to do with all our rack mounted gear is we had separate, a good compressor would have a noise gate in it, and they usually call them compressor gates. And the noise gate, it cuts everything. It doesn't let the signal be picked up until it gets loud enough. So all the rumbling in the background and all that stuff, it cuts it out. The compressor shuts it down when it gets too hot. Now, people constantly describe compressors as, and I'm supposing that for a while there I thought, have I always been wrong about this? But I finally realized the newer compressors, especially the software ones, they're not just compressors. They're a compressor, they're a noise gate, and they are a, I forgot the name of what the other effect is. But volume leveler is one of the terms people use. But it will, I hear people do it all the time on the internet, on YouTube. They'll say that a compressor, you know, they'll say that it compresses the signal when it gets too loud, but they say it also brings it up to keep it from being too quiet. Well, a compressor does not do that. That would be a, and they also get confused between a compressor and a peak limiter. Peak limiter is really a hard compressor, is what it is. Peak limiting is one of the things you could set in a compressor. And anyway, in a good compressor that's manual, you know, that's not like this here, it's just automatic. But anyway, the other thing would be volume normalizing. That would be what you would call it, volume normalizing. And volume normalizing, well, like in VLC has a volume, the media player has a volume normalizer, a software volume normalizer. It will compress the hot signals, and it will bring up the low signals to a certain extent. It's not really great, but it helps quite a bit. But a really good one, like a rack mount unit or something, would it would bring up. There's another one. There's another one in Pro that we used to use back in the that they had back in the 80s and 90s that would do this to a certain extent. And I can't think of the name of it right now. It was in my head just a minute ago, but we didn't call it a volume normalizer. That's actually something that's more used like in TV stations and radio stations. They have special units, rack mount units that do that. I used to, I had a friend that was ran a radio station. He was a DJ, and he actually started his own radio station. And I used to go hang out with him. And after that, I ended up getting a job in a local TV station as a master control operator. And we had the worst problem with our peaks, being with the volume levels of all the different tapes. We were playing actual tapes, 3/4 and actually S-video tape, and all the different volume levels. And the commercials would be really loud, and then way too loud, more than you hear on the TV these days, And we had a Shure microphone mixer, like a 4-channel Shure microphone mixer, and we'd have to be sitting there twisting knobs, trying to keep it and watching the meter. And finally, the engineer was up there one day, and I said, "Can we get one of these?" And there was one in there in the rack because they were releasing out space for a radio station. And I used to sit there and watch it work, And I said, "Can we get something like that?" And he looked, and he goes, "Well, let me check." And so he came back not too long after that within a week with one. And he also got us a little bitty Mackie mixer too, instead of that little Shure microphone mixer. It was terrible. I mean, it was a good little unit, but it was ancient, and it just wasn't enough for what is for microphones. Well, I mean, it would do line levels too, but it said on the front of it, Shure mic mixer, But I keep reaching over there because I think I need a cough drop. I guess I should. I'm about to lose my voice. I guess that means it's time to quit all this fun, but I better do this right now before it's too late. But anyway, I keep wanting this Sonic Maximizer. That's one of the effects that are software now, where there used to be actual hardware Sonic Maximizers. If I remember right, that's basically what they would do. I mean, they kind of sweetened up some frequencies and stuff. And the ones people liked were the tube ones. But I believe they also brought up the low volume, super low volume levels too. Kept them from bring them up enough to where they could be heard. Keep them within a certain range. Well, the compressors, what they call, normal. If you did buy a rack mount compressor today, I think they just pretty well have some volume normalizing built into them, and they didn't used to. Not when I did, Sam. You had to buy a separate unit, and that was another, $200 to $1,500 for that unit. So we didn't usually have them, because that's what the sound guy was for anyway. You can take care of that with by riding the sliders, is what we call it. But with the super sudden loud sound, you couldn't really hardly keep up with that. Sorry. You didn't need to see that. Okay. So, sometimes these cough drops make it worse before they make it better. So, looking at that signal in the preview, I'm sitting there looking at the preview, wondering if it almost looks like there's a lot of background noise. I'll go to my preview of my YouTube and see. That's the best way to figure that out for sure. Like I said, I can't stand. Let's go to the desktop here. Everything's going haywire on me now. My nose is running. Okay, so I've got my, sorry, my nose was going crazy, and it looks like I'm still alive and everything. Okay, so I've got my, sorry, my nose was going crazy, and it looks like I'm still alive and everything. All right, so listen to my sound for a second there. Sounds good, like usual. I don't know if it's any different right now than it was with just the Vamp, I mean. But yeah. I'll have to, all I'm doing is showing you my desktop. Well, you don't want to see me right now anyway. Definitely going to have to quit. I was trying to at least just kind of go out here. But I think I'm about to fall apart. So, it works good. Only thing I would really be upset, I don't know how I'm going to find out. I mean, the phantom power light won't go out, just like this couple other videos. So it makes you wonder if it even works at all. I'll leave it off for a minute and see if it maybe just takes a while for the light to go out. Don't think so. So, yeah, the Vamp is just back to where settings that I have been using all along. And that sounds good. EQ's all flat on the board. I'm at unity on my level and just a little bit of gain, and I have plenty of headroom. Yep. Okay. And so that's all right. And yeah, so the Vamp, I'll treat it just like you would any other compressor and gate. And yeah, so I'm gonna have to quit because I just can't quit coughing, and my drainage and stuff just kicking 20, just in overdrive. I don't know why, coughing and draining. So, but yeah, I might end up wanting to use the EQ on the board. You know, I didn't really get into that this time, but I might run these flat. I think what you would do is put them in the center. I don't think you would back them all the way off. I think they work just like the board, a mixing board does. But it may not really make. The only reason I would care about that is like if I wanted different EQs for each mic, and I might. But a minute ago it seemed to sound good the way it was, same EQ on both mics. So, I guess I have to quit. I'm just going to have to quit trying to talk, period. But anyway, that's today's first run of my new Behringer 802 XENYX mixer. I think I'm going to like it all right, unless if I find out, hey, that preamp light went out. Takes a while for it to go out. I thought I had remembered that before from in the past. It went out after I left it off for a while. So it must take it a while to, maybe it takes it a while for the power to bleed down or something. Maybe it's using capacitors that store power. Just take a wild guess. Yeah, it may have some capacitors that get charged up, you know, to like handle sudden needs for sudden draws for power. And maybe it takes them a while to bleed down because it's off now. Okay, so now I'm not as worried about the board being defective, but I wish I had a condenser mic that I knew worked that I could plug in there. But the only one that I'm sure is pretty sure is that I know is bound to be a condenser mic is that lapel mic. That other one, I kind of thinking back to the last time I looked at the paperwork, it may be a cordioid. Can't say the words. Maybe the same type of mic as the SM58s. I'm not saying the right words anyway. That's the pattern. But anyway, I'll fiddle with it next time. I'm getting hot. No wonder it's 78 in here now. Sun's come up. Good. I know it's getting warm in here. And that's probably one of the reasons I'm coughing and everything. It's feeling really stuffy in here. But I'm tired anyway. I've been up all night again. Seem to only end up doing these things when I stay up all night. And tired and I'm going to go to bed since I get my things cleaned up in here. So this is done. And I'm going to go before I have another coughing fit. And so That's my new little mixer. I think it's going to help me a lot. It'll let me do more things, you know, whatever. I'll probably end up wiring it up so that the main thing I want to do is wire it up so that I can listen back to my music when I'm going in and going out. So that I'll know where, you know, instead of just cutting it, I'll know when cut it on a good spot. So this done, and I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye bye.